Good morning, my name is Bekka. I will be performing several selections from Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime and a selection from The Hounds of the Baskervilles by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. I do not tell lies. Mother used to say this was because I was a good person. But it is not because I am a good person. It is because I can't tell lies. Mother was a small person who smelled nice. And she sometimes wore a fleece with a zip down the front, which was pink, and I had a tiny label which said Burkhouse on the left. Listen. A lie is when you say something happened which didn't happen. There's only ever one thing which happened at a particular time and a particular place. And there are an infinite number of things which didn't happen at that time and that place. And if I think about something which didn't happen, I start thinking about all the other things which didn't happen. For example, this morning for breakfast, I had Ready Breck and some hot raspberry milkshake. But if I say that I actually had Shreddies and a mug of tea, but I wouldn't have Shreddies and tea because they are both brown, I start thinking about Cocoa Pops and lemonade and porridge and Dr. Pepper and how I wasn't eating my breakfast in Egypt, and there wasn't a rhinoceros in the room, and Father wasn't in a diving suit, and so on. And even writing this makes me feel shaky and scared, like I do when I'm standing on the top of a very tall building and there are thousands of houses and cars and people below me, and my head is so full of all these things that I'm afraid that I'm going to forget to stand up straight and hang on to the rail, and I'm going to fall over and be killed. This is another reason why I don't like proper novels, because they are lies about things which didn't happen, and they make me feel shaky and scared, and that is why everything I have written here is true. The Hound of the Baskervilles is my favorite book. In The Hound of the Baskervilles, Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson get a visit from James Mortimer, who is a doctor from the moors in Devon. James Mortimer's friend, Sir Charles Baskerville, has died of a heart attack. James Mortimer also has an ancient scroll which describes the curse of the Baskervilles. On this scroll, it says that Sir Charles Baskerville had an ancestor called Sir Hugo Baskerville, who was a wild, profane, and godless man. And he tried to do sex with the daughter of a human, but she escaped, and he chased her across the moor. And his friends, who were daredevil roisterers, chased after him. And when they had found him, the daughter of the human had died of exhaustion and fatigue. And they saw a great black beast, shaped like a hound, yet larger than any hound that ever mortal eye has rested on. And this hound was tearing the throat out of Sir Hugo Baskerville. And one of his friends died of fear that very night, and the other two were broken men for the rest of their lives. There's some bits of the story that I don't like. One bit is the ancient scroll, because it is written in old language which is difficult to understand, like this: "Learn then from this history not to fear the fruits of the past, but rather to be circumspect in the future, that these foul passions whereby our family has suffered so grievously may not again be loosed to our undoing." And sometimes Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, who is the author, describes people like this: "There's something subtly wrong about the face, some coarseness of expression, some hardness, perhaps of eye, some looseness of lip, which marred its perfect beauty." And I don't know what some hardness, perhaps of eye, means. I'm not interested in faces. But sometimes it is fun not knowing what the words mean, because you can look them up in a dictionary, like goyle, which is a deep dip, and tolls, which are hills or rocky heights. I like The Hound of the Baskervilles because it is a detective story, which means that there are clues, red herrings. I also like The Hound of the Baskervilles because I like Sherlock Holmes, and I think that if I were a proper detective, he's the kind of detective I would be. He's very intelligent and solves the mystery, and he says, "The world is full of obvious things which nobody by any chance ever observes." But he notices them like I do. Also, it says in the book, Sherlock Holmes had, in a very remarkable degree, the power of detaching his mind at will. And this is like me too. Because if I get really interested in something, like practicing maths or reading a book about the Apollo missions or great white sharks. I don't notice anything else, and Father can be calling me to come and eat my supper, and I won't hear him. And this is why I'm very good at playing chess, because I detach my mind at will and concentrate on the board. And after a while, the person I'm playing will stop concentrating and start scratching their nose or looking out the window, and they will make a mistake and I will win. Also, Dr. Watson says about Sherlock Holmes, his mind was busy in endeavoring to frame some scheme into which all these strange and apparently disconnected episodes could be fitted, and that is what I am trying to do by writing this book. Also, Sherlock Holmes doesn't believe in the supernatural, which is God and fairy tales and hounds of hell and curses, which are stupid things. This, then, is the stage upon which tragedy has been played, and upon which we may help to play it again. It must be a wild place. Yes, the setting is a worthy one. If the devil did desire to have a hand in the affairs of men, then you are yourself inclining to the supernatural explanation. The devil's agents may be of flesh and blood, may they not? There are two questions waiting for us at the outset. One is whether any crime has been committed at all. The second is, what is the crime and how has it been committed? Of course, if Dr. Mortimer's surmise should be correct, and we are dealing with forces outside the ordinary laws of nature, there is an end to our investigation. But we are bound to exhaust all other hypotheses before falling back on this one. I think we'll shut that window again if you don't mind. It is a singular thing, but I find that a concentrated atmosphere helps the concentration of thought. I have not pushed it to the length of getting into a box to think, but that is the logical outcome of my convictions. Have you turned the case over in your mind? Yes, I have thought a good deal of it in the course of the day. What do you make of it? It is very bewildering. It has certainly a character of its own. There are points of distinction about it. That change in the footprints, for example. What do you make of that? Mortimer said that the man had walked on tiptoe down that portion of the alley. He only repeated what some fool had said at the inquest. Why should a man walk on tiptoe down the alley? What then? He was running, Watson. Running desperately, running for his life. Running until he burst his heart and fell dead upon his face. Running from what? There lies our problem. There are indications that the man was crazed with fear before ever he began to run. How can you say that? I'm presuming that the cause of his fears came to him across the moor. If that was so, and it seems most probable, only a man who had lost his wits would have run from the house instead of towards it. If the gypsy's evidence may be taken as true, he ran with cries for help in the direction where help was least likely to be. Then, again, whom was he waiting for that night? And why was he waiting for him in the yew alley rather than in his own home? You think that he was waiting for somebody? The man was elderly and infirm. We can understand his taking an evening stroll, but the ground was damp and the night inclement. Is it natural that he should stand for 5 or 10 minutes as Dr. Mortimer, with more practical sense than I should have given him credit for, deduced from the cigar ash? But he went out every evening. I think it unlikely that he waited at the moor gate every evening. On the contrary, the evidence is that he avoided the moor. That night, he waited there. It was the night before he made his departure for London. The thing takes shape, Watson. It becomes coherent. Might I ask you to hand me my violin? We will postpone all further thought upon this business until we have had the advantage of meeting Dr. Mortimer and Sir Henry Baskerville in the morning. Thank you.